Hi cuties, welcome back to Ellie's Electric Gym. I'm Eleanor, your gym leader. In this episode, I'll be sharing my very first Pokemon theory. There will be many spoilers for the Pokemon games, anime, and manga. So Birdkeeper Toby, read the Adventures manga already. It's so great. Let's get started. Pokemon Generation 7 introduced the concept of Ultra Space, with a number of its interesting mechanics explored. When a human enters Ultra Space through an Ultra Wormhole, they are bathed in an Ultra Energy, which soaks into their physical being. Upon returning to standard dimensions, the energy of the void remains upon them and oozes out to create a sort of ultra aura. Creatures from Ultra Space, what we call Ultra Beasts, respond to this aura when they are in Alola, perhaps because they recognize the energy signature and mistake the aura as a wormhole back to their home dimensions. A few characters are shown to exhibit such an ultra aura, and they are given a special name: Fallers. I have been transfixed with the Faller concept and spent time brainstorming about them. I couldn't help but notice an inconsistency among the Fallers we know. To begin, let's compare two of them: Annabelle and the Generation 7 protagonist. They have a few similarities. Both characters have spent time in Ultra Space, and both characters attract Ultra Beasts with their auras of Ultra Energy. And so, both of them are tabbed by the International Police Special Task Force. However, they have clear differences as well. Annabelle's time in Ultra Space has caused her almost complete amnesia. On the other hand, our protagonist's memories are unaffected. So why the inconsistency? In response to this, I have theorized that there are different magnitudes of Fallers, and I have speculated on what might cause such differences. To try to make sense of these differences, I have theorized what I call the Faller scale. I believe that any person who travels through Ultra Space belongs somewhere on this scale and accordingly experiences different levels of side effects. First, I will explain the 3 levels of the scale. Then, I will give examples of characters that I speculate belong in each category. Beginning with the least severe, a Faller of the first kind, or what I have coined a passer. Passers use Ultra Wormholes to travel from one place or time outside Ultra Space to another. They spend very little time at all within Ultra Space, much as you spend very little time within a doorway as you pass from one room into another. For a passer, Ultra Space is just that, a doorway between two locations. A Faller of the second kind is what I like to refer to as a visitor. They travel into an Ultra Wormhole, and unlike a passer, they explore within Ultra Space for a period of time. For them, Ultra Space is a destination. The longer they spend exploring Ultra Space, the more Ultra Energy they accumulate, and so the stronger their auras and other side effects become. And finally, a Faller of the third kind is what I deem a true Faller. Like a visitor, a true Faller makes Ultra Space a destination for some period of time. The distinction of a true Faller is their loss of ability to leave Ultra Space at will. Trapped between the dimensions, they are forced to wander until they find an exit. They are shown to experience amnesia, though the mechanism for this isn't concretely explained. This is the Faller scale. Now, to further illustrate how the scale functions, I will share some examples of characters, mostly from Generation 7, that I believe belong on the scale and where they reside within it. I think it makes the most sense to proceed backwards along the scale now, as the most severe cases are the most well documented. So I'll begin with examples of Fallers of the third kind, true Fallers. There are 2 known true fallers, and several more we can strongly speculate are true fallers. The most obvious example, the one that defines the category, is Annabelle. In the events of Sun and Moon, Looker describes how she was found, how she exudes an Ultra aura, and how the International Police uses that aura to attract Ultra beasts. The second known true faller is the unnamed former partner of Looker and Nanu. Though she isn't named, she is described as a true faller, and her Ultra aura is described to attract Ultra beasts, just like Annabelle. A few other characters can be confidently speculated to be true fallers. The most evident of these is Moan. Papers at Aether Paradise implicate him as having disappeared during an experiment gone wrong, but we find him in the game, apparently without any memory of his family or company. It is all but confirmed that Moan is a true faller. Another character in Sun and Moon that is hinted to be a true faller is the lost brother of Ikki-town. This is a theory by HybridHero and HoopsandHipHop. For more details on this one, you can watch their video linked in the description below. And finally, we have Looker from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, as explored in the Looker Paradox, probably my favorite Pokemon theory yet. If you've yet to watch this video series by PhillyBeatzU and AlmightyArceus, I very strongly recommend watching it. It's linked in the description below. It's so good and inspired a lot of the thought that led to this video. Now I'll be moving on to give examples of visitors, fallers of the second kind. Anyone in Generation 7 that we witnessed entering and exiting Ultra Space without falling or experiencing amnesia will get the title of Visitor. So these include Protagonist, Lily, Lusamine, Guzma, and Looker and Nanu during their work for the International Police Task Force. Hypothetically, all of these characters might exude some amount of Ultra aura. Finally, passers are probably the hardest fallers to recognize, as they don't spend a prolonged period of time in Ultra Space. But I think the members of Team Rainbow Rocket most likely belong in this category. Giovanni found a way to transport them from their original universes over to the Ultra Sun and Moon universe. As for Giovanni himself, it's unclear whether he was a passer or a visitor, but definitely he belongs on the scale in one of these two categories. These are the characters with some evidence of having been to Ultra Space. Now, to wrap up the video, I would like to put my theorist cap on tight and explain how I came to develop this scale in the first place. While searching for fallers, I decided to look throughout Pokemon in various media since the beginning of the franchise. As some others have speculated, perhaps other known Pokemon from previous generations used Ultra Wormholes. At this point, I will treat any portal in space or time in the Pokemon Multiverse as an Ultra Wormhole, and in doing so, theorize many known characters to reside on the faller scale. Let's start with the most obvious example. In Pokemon Platinum, we travel through a portal to the Distortion World and encounter Giratina. If indeed the Distortion World is in Ultra Space, then that would make Cyrus, Cynthia, and the Platinum protagonist all visitors, fallers of the second kind. However, since we don't see Cyrus leave the Distortion World, it is unknown whether he escaped. It is possible that Cyrus went on to become a true faller. With the upcoming Generation 4 revisit, I have high hopes we see this possibility explored. Next up, Hoopa is also shown to open portals. It's highly speculated that Looker escaped Ultra Space and fell into Hoenn in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire through one of these portals. And I theorize that anyone who travels through a Hoopa portal joins the Faller scale at some level. However, I have saved my favorite part of the theory for last, and I have yet to see anyone else theorize this, so I'm kinda proud of it. I'm especially in love with this part of the theory because it involves my #1 most favorite Pokemon of all time, Celebi. Celebi is the time travel Pokemon, and its Pokedex entries enumerate about how it wanders across the eons as a guardian of forests and nature. While Ultra Wormholes have mostly been witnessed to allow travel through different spatial dimensions, modern theories of real-world physics entwine time and space together in a fabric known as space-time. So it's not far-fetched to imagine that if spatial dimensions can be traveled by using Ultra Wormholes, so too might the dimension of time be explorable using them. So the thesis of my theory is Celebi has learned to travel through time by using Ultra Wormholes. And whenever it travels through time, it does so by taking a quick jaunt through Ultra dimensions. Should my theory be correct, it would mean any person that travels through time with Celebi would travel through Ultra Space to do so, placing them on the Faller scale. So here's a few of the characters known to have traveled with Celebi, making them all passers. In the Johto remake games, the protagonist and either Ethan or Lyra travel with Celebi in the special event involving Giovanni. In the Chronicles anime, Richie and Celebi travel together. In Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, a number of characters travel with Celebi, though none of them are human, so it's hard to judge the consequences here. In Zoroark, Master of Illusions, Ash travels with Celebi, so I theorize that Ash was a passer from that time on. But I think there are two most interesting examples that I want to discuss deeper. In Pokemon Forever, we see young Sammy Oak travel through time with Celebi and into the future. From this point on, I believe Professor Oak was a passer, perhaps carrying a slight Ultra aura. And finally, several characters go with Celebi in the Pokemon Adventures manga. This is about to be a huge spoiler for that series, so please back out if you haven't read it yet. It's so worth your time. I love it. It's my favorite story in the whole Pokemon multiverse. But here we go. The protagonists, Gold, Silver, and Crystal, all go with Celebi pretty briefly, making them passers. But more interestingly, Price is imprisoned in Celebi's time trap and spends a very long time stranded there. Unlike the protagonists, Price was trapped in the gap between times, which I theorize is Ultra Space. However, he is eventually spared the fate of falling when he is released during the events of the Heart Gold and Soul Silver chapter. He doesn't exhibit any amnesia, and in fact describes witnessing the creation and destruction of the universe and everything in between. I theorize then that Price is a visitor, a faller of the second kind with a strong Ultra aura, perhaps the strongest of any character that isn't a true faller. It was Price being trapped in time that actually inspired my creation of the scale and this whole video. I love this part of the theory, and I thought Price was such an insanely compelling character in Adventures, so I'm super happy to make a theory building on his experience with Celebi. So let's wrap this up. In conclusion, I theorize that there are different levels of being a faller in the Pokemon multiverse, that each level has certain consequences, and in extension, that certain characters can be sorted into these categories and analyzed for how strong their Ultra auras might be. If you liked the theory, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, or if you can prove it wrong, go ahead and discuss it in the comments. In the meantime, check out my other Pokemon videos, hit subscribe for more new Pokemon content, and last but not least, don't you dare forget it, llamas forever. La 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 llamas. Time traveling llamas. Time traveling llamas. Slama just became a passer right before your very eyes. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.